is the best fighter on the planet. Pound for pound, he's that dude. In this four-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds.
If Bud was the best, I gotta give it to him. Bud's the best, right? He's hands down. He's the best. He's the best right now. I don't think nobody need to question him no more. I mean, you kind of got to give him respect no matter what. You got to give him respect. He just went up 2 weight classes what people said he couldn't do. He's doing everything that people say he can't do.
I've been a world champion, as you know, and I've been a 3-division world champion. I've only won 1 of the belts. I don't know what it is to be undisputed. I don't know that feeling. Do you understand? What he did last night is unbelievable.
Bud Crawford is the best fighter on the planet, pound for pound, and at this point there shouldn't be any debate left. In the 4-belt era, he has now become the undisputed world champion 3 times, at 140 pounds, 147, and now at 168. That alone separates him from everyone else. People kept saying he couldn't do it. They said he couldn't move up in weight, that the size would be too much, that it wouldn't translate. But every time, Bud did exactly what they said he couldn't do and proved everyone wrong. I've been a world champion myself and a multi-division champion, but I've only held 1 belt. I don't even know what it feels like to be undisputed. What Bud did last night was unbelievable.
In this 4-belt era, he is now the undisputed world champion 3 times over. 140 pounds, 147, now 168 pounds, claiming all the belts. You don't see people doing that very often. Going up against a guy who was perceived as being bigger and stronger, Crawford was strong. Crawford was strong enough to fend him off, strong enough to make him respect his own power.
Bud Crawford has reached a level where he stands alone in boxing. Being recognized as the pound-for-pound best is one thing, but becoming undisputed across multiple weight classes in the 4-belt era is something only a rare fighter can achieve. Doing it 3 times, at 140, 147, and now 168 pounds, puts him in a different category altogether. What makes it even more impressive is how he handled a bigger, stronger opponent. Instead of being pushed back, Crawford showed his own strength, shutting down any physical advantage and forcing respect. He controlled the fight with sharp fundamentals, smart use of the jab, clean distance management, and complete composure. This wasn't just a win, it was a masterclass that showed why he's considered the best on the planet.
Legacy, because I don't think he caught, the Floyd fight didn't give him, people didn't really look down on, because he was, even though he had 40 fights, he was still, fighting one of the greatest ever in an absolute master. In Bivol, he went up weight classes to win. But now he's fighting a smaller guy, a great fighter, but a smaller guy. Does this damage his legacy in any way?
I think it does. I think it does because, the one thing is this, is that, you were ruling, you were the king of that weight class. And the king of that weight class for a good while. And I think that, he had a huge following because, he became the face of boxing.
And even though it's another, future Hall of Famer, still losing a guy come up a couple weight classes.
Terence Crawford has now placed himself in conversations that include names like Floyd Mayweather and Julio Cesar Chavez, fighters whose legacies defined entire eras. Unlike Floyd, whose greatness was built on perfection within his own lane, Crawford chose the harder path, climbing weight classes and chasing challenges that most champions avoid. That willingness to move up and still dominate is what separates him from the rest. When a fighter from a lower weight class steps up and beats an established champion, it doesn't diminish Crawford, it elevates him. He wasn't just competitive, he imposed himself, showing strength, control, and complete command of the fight. Victories like this don't just add to his resume, they reshape his legacy. At this point, Terence Crawford isn't just winning fights, he's building an all-time case that belongs alongside the greatest names boxing has ever seen.
Middleweight division, so he's really moving up from 147 pounds, okay? Terence Bud Crawford moving up to the 168-pound limit in an effort to claim the undisputed super middleweight championship of the world from the grasp of Saul Canelo Alvarez. Now I was there because let me tell you something right now. There's very, very few sporting events in the world that are better than a super fight in Vegas. I can tell you that right now. There's very, very few events. Props to Nick.
Terence "Bud" Crawford wasn't just moving up one weight division for this moment. In reality, he was jumping 2, maybe even 3. With only one fight above 147 pounds, stepping all the way up to 168 to challenge for the undisputed super middleweight championship was a massive risk. And the opponent made it even bigger, Saul Canelo Alvarez, a fighter who has owned that division and defined it. Being there in Vegas, you could feel how special it was. There are very few sporting events in the world that match the energy of a true super fight in Las Vegas, and this was one of them. The stakes, the atmosphere, the history, everything felt larger than life. This wasn't just another fight for Crawford, it was a statement moment, the kind that can redefine a career and change how boxing history remembers you.
Recently did an interview in which Bomac stated that a fight is not happening. And this particular fight is a fight that everybody wanted to see Canelo Alvarez take, and Canelo Alvarez refused to take this fight with a 28-year-old two-division world champion, reigning WBC light heavyweight, former two-time WBC super middleweight, the Mexican Ecuadorian superstar boxer, who's one of my favorite fighters and a great person, David, the Mexican Ecuadorian monster Benavidez, who has 30 wins, no loss, no draw, 24 wins by way of knockout, stands at 6'2" with a 75-inch arm reach, and fights at 175. But the entire time David Benavidez was fighting at 168, Canelo Alvarez was brought up, and he never accepted the fight. And so, with that said, now people are trying to project this fight on Terence Crawford, and they're saying that Terence Crawford needs to take the fight. So Bomac yesterday did an interview, and Bomac said they're not fighting David Benavidez. And so now people are pushing this notion that Terence Crawford is ducking and Terence Crawford is scared of David Benavidez, and if he don't fight David Benavidez, according to boxing.
Recently, Terence "Bud" Crawford and his longtime, two-time trainer of the year, Brian "B-Max" McIntyre, addressed the growing chatter about a potential fight with David Benavidez. B-Max made it clear, that fight isn't happening. While fans have been clamoring to see Canelo Alvarez face Benavidez, a 28-year-old, two-division world champion with an undefeated record and incredible power, the fight never materialized, and now some are trying to push the same narrative onto Crawford. Crawford is not ducking anyone. The reality, as B-Max stated, is that this fight simply isn't on the table. Terence has built his legacy moving up in weight classes and taking on the challenges that define greatness, and he continues to focus on fights that make sense strategically and historically. The noise from fans and media doesn't change the fact that Crawford's career has always been about calculated risks, skill, and dominance, not chasing headlines.
I saw some of y'all goofies on y'all channels. You come here and you get the real over here. That's what you get over here. You want the real? You want a real breakdown from a real fighter, a Hall of Famer? That's what you do. You come right here and you gonna get the real, and you gonna get the truth. Dang it, that's what you gonna get. Leave them other lames alone and come right on over here. Yeah, and get the truth and nothing but the truth. I've been trying to tell y'all for years about this. Been trying to tell y'all for years about Terence Crawford. Everybody put his resume.
At this point, there's really nothing left for Terence Crawford to prove. His body of work speaks for itself, and the idea that he still needs validation feels late, maybe too late. He's done everything the sport asked of him, checked every box, and kept winning while people continued to doubt him. Even now, some still question his resume, but that only shows how long they've been missing the truth. For years, the real ones have been saying the same thing about Crawford, that he's special, that his skill level is different, and that history would eventually catch up to what he was doing in real time. When a Hall of Famer tells you this kind of greatness isn't accidental, it's worth listening. The noise will always be there, but the truth hasn't changed. Terence Crawford has been elite all along, whether people were ready to admit it or not.
Does that put him in the conversation with the likes of yourself as the greatest fighter of all time?
Yes, it does. And the reason it does is because he couldn't get the credibility down in his own weight class, so he went up to go challenge himself to fight it. And he found a very formidable, good opponent.
Do you think Canelo Alvarez is on the decline or not?
No, I don't think it's on decline at all.
So you think both fighters are still at their peak, even though they're 36, 37?
Yeah, I think they're both still at their peak. The age for Crawford would seem like he may be beyond it, but he hasn't had the fights, the tough fights we have put him there. And the years of boxing for Canelo would have put him in a position where they're about equal. So I think they both are pretty.
Canelo Alvarez moving up 3 weight classes to challenge himself puts him in a rare category, a generational talent willing to test himself beyond his natural limits. But when you look at Crawford, the comparison is natural. Both fighters are operating at an elite level, and despite their ages, Canelo in his late 30s, Crawford perhaps slightly older in boxing experience, they're still performing at their peaks. Crawford hasn't been tested in the same grueling way yet, but his skill, adaptability, and accomplishments across multiple divisions place him on equal footing in terms of greatness. This is exactly the moment where fans get to witness history in the making. 2 elite fighters, both at the top of their games, facing challenges that define their legacies. For Crawford, it's another chance to cement why he belongs in every conversation about the best pound-for-pound fighter alive.
Beating the best of the best. Now, for me, there were red flags way before this fight. Not way before the fight. You know, in the build-up to this fight, Canelo's body language in the run-up to this fight. You know, he turned up in Vegas in his stretch limo, in his Armani suit. He's had his kids and his wife in the back of the car, and he's got out and he's strolling around like he owns the gaff. Now, that all that signified to me was a very comfortable man. He was too comfortable. And Terence Crawford just kept it real from the outset. Tracksuit, no nonsense, went there to win, said what he was going to do, told the world what he was going to do long before the fight. I think he asked for this fight many years ago. The discussion he had with Bill Haney, and I think it was him that actually suggested, call out Canelo, which he laughed at the beginning, but then it came to fruition, and now it's come to fruition. I mean, what you saw in that fight yesterday, what I watched in that fight yesterday, it was for the purists. It really was, because you really have to try and understand boxing and know what you're looking at. It was the feints. It was the way that he handled the bigger man. It was the little feints, the little side steps, the little flicking with the jabs, you know, hitting him with the head and the body, the little combinations, the little 2s and 3s, and also with Crawford knowing how to close around, knowing how to.
What Terence "Bud" Crawford accomplished last night was truly unbelievable. Becoming a 3-time undisputed world champion and defeating the best of the best isn't something that happens often. From the very start, Crawford approached this fight with focus and clarity, no flashy entrances, no distractions, just a clear plan to dominate. Meanwhile, Canelo Alvarez, confident and comfortable, made his grand entrance, but Crawford let his skills do the talking years ago. Crawford had already expressed interest in this matchup, even discussing it with his team, and when the fight finally came together, he executed flawlessly. Watching him in the ring was a masterclass in boxing. The subtle feints, controlling distance, precise jab work, tactical head and body movement, and small, intelligent combinations. Every round was calculated, every exchange purposeful. Crawford knows how to win rounds, close rounds, and impose his will on the bigger man, and last night, the world witnessed just how dominant and precise he truly is.
Plus, because what I just told you, I think Crawford is very talented, and Crawford is hungry to become a legend. He wanted to become that three-time, 3-division undisputed. He wanted to go up. He wanted to make history by going up 2 divisions to beat Canelo, one of the greatest of all time. So he was hungry for it. I think Canelo has already done so much, has made so much money that he's not hungry anymore.
Do you think possibly that Crawford is up there with Pacquiao or Mayweather?
I think in accomplishments, he's 3-division undisputed, moved up 2 divisions to beat Canelo. So he's probably he's accomplished more than Mayweather for sure. Mayweather never became undisputed, but that doesn't mean he's better than Mayweather. I think in a fight at welterweight, Mayweather in his prime would beat Crawford, and Pacquiao in his prime would probably beat Crawford. But Crawford has accomplished more.
Do you think Crawford should retire after this or fight someone else?
Look, I think a rematch would be fucking good for Crawford to just beat him again and do the same thing. if Canelo doesn't have any changes. If he doesn't, he needs to do a lot of changes. Canelo needs to do a lot of changes. I think a rematch would.
Terrence "Bud" Crawford's victory over Canelo Alvarez wasn't just a win, it was a statement. Crawford came into this fight hungry, focused, and determined to make history. He moved up 2 weight divisions to challenge one of the greatest of all time, and he executed a flawless game plan, showcasing skill, intelligence, and precision in every round. Canelo, as accomplished as he is, no longer had that same fire. His movements were slower, his punches less sharp, and Crawford's hunger and drive made all the difference. In terms of legacy, Crawford has now achieved something truly rare, 3-division undisputed champion, having moved up and defeated a fighter many consider one of the best in history. Comparisons to legends like Mayweather and Pacquiao are inevitable. While Crawford might not have the same stylistic edge in a hypothetical prime matchup against them, his accomplishments arguably surpass theirs in terms of multi-division dominance. Looking ahead, a rematch with Canelo could be lucrative and historic, but there's also a real case for retirement, leaving the sport at the top, having cemented his place among boxing's all-time greats. Crawford's hunger, vision, and skill have made this moment one for the history books.
He the best. He the best right now. I don't think nobody need to question him no more. I mean, you kind of got to give him his respect no matter what. You got to give him respect. He just went up 2 weight classes, what people said he couldn't do. He's doing everything that people say he can't do, and he is doing it with ease. Right? You got to respect that.
Break it down for me. How did he win that fight in the way you won it tonight?
He won the fight by gaining Canelo's respect. I think he was already in Canelo's head a little bit. I think that even though Canelo knew he was smaller and everything else, these fighters are still humans and they hear what the people are saying. Canelo was, Crawford was undefeated. Look at what he did to the Spence. I mean, look at what he's doing to some of these people. So no matter what, I mean, you have to take that into consideration. You know what I'm saying? Even no matter what he did against Makrimov or whatever else, you got to take into consideration what Bud has been known to do when it's time to do it. You know what I'm saying? So, again, I think Canelo respected him, and I think that was the biggest part.
Canelo just said in the press conference that Crawford's better than Mayweather, having shared the ring with both. What do you think?
I mean, I think that's one of the things. I think that's one of the things that's it's an opinionated situation with the styles make fights. He beat him up. He beat Canelo up worse than Mayweather beat him up. He definitely did that. So in that case, you can ask the question: did he beat him up worse than Floyd did? Absolutely. But I mean, that would be an opinionated thing because styles make fights. You just never know. You know what I'm saying?
Different eras as
well,
right?
Different eras.
Terrence "Bud" Crawford has proven he's the best right now, no questions about it. Moving up 2 weight classes to face fighters who were supposed to be too big or too strong, he's done everything critics said he couldn't do, and he's done it with ease. His victory isn't just about skill, it's about command and respect. Crawford got into Canelo's head, forced him to acknowledge the threat, and dominated not just physically but mentally. When people look at his resume, from Spence to Porter to Canelo, it's clear, this is a fighter who delivers when it matters most. Even comparing him to legends like Mayweather is tricky because eras and styles differ, but one thing is undeniable: Crawford's achievements and the way he executes in the ring put him in the highest tier of boxing greatness today.
Performance from Canelo, from Terrence. Terrence Crawford, great performance, man. He's been doing this throughout the course of his career. The stakes were a lot different in this fight, a lot more danger. He had to fight that kind of fight in order to beat Canelo Alvarez tonight, and he did that at 38, 37, but getting ready to be 38 years old. And he proved, like Max said, that he is the GOAT of this generation. Hats off to Canelo for taking the fight. He didn't have to take it. Hats off to Turkey Al Sheikh for putting it together. Just a great night for boxing.
Yeah. How special a fighter is someone like Terrence Crawford? There was no signs of a size disadvantage there. How special?
You can see it in spots, but it wasn't significant. And I didn't think it was going to be significant. And people call me crazy, but I've been around Terrence. He's strong. He's got a wrestling background, and people don't realize that he's been boiling himself down all these years and still being successful, not having to do that. His condition seemed impeccable, and his strength was there. The power was there enough to get respect from Canelo.
So, what more can I say? What would you like to see him do next? Do you think there's another fight after this?
I'd like to see him be done. What are we boxing for at this point? What else is there to do? There's always going to be a YouTuber or a reporter or somebody conjuring up another challenge. We box to get ourselves in a better financial position, to build a name and a legacy. Those boxes are...
Terrence "Bud" Crawford's performance against Canelo Alvarez was nothing short of spectacular. At nearly 38, he faced one of the greatest fighters of this generation and left no doubt about his skill, power, and composure. Size was never a factor. Crawford's strength, conditioning, and wrestling background allowed him to control every aspect of the fight, earning the respect of Canelo and fans alike. This wasn't just a victory, it was a statement that Crawford is the GOAT of his generation. Looking ahead, the question isn't whether he can take another fight, it's why he would. Crawford has already checked every box: multi-division undisputed champion, conquered the biggest names, and built a legacy that few in the sport will ever match. There's nothing left to prove, he's done it all. Any future matchups would be about headlines or money, but in terms of legacy, Crawford has already secured his place at the top.